that it is having only local significance. Okay, from a source to one destination. That is, suppose you are traveling from say college to your home or college to say Koramangala. You will not be or your driver or your vehicle is not necessary to know the entire route. From college till Kasvanalli, he knows the route. From Kasvanalli to Kaikondralli, he knows the route. Only that local significance is there for the virtual circuits, and the virtual circuit is not completely published or completely known to everybody. That is a key point there. Okay, so if you asked in interviews, you may please stick on to that explanation. Now, next is a small topic. The key topic in this unit is actually the forthcoming from 4.4 onwards. 4.2 is slightly knowledge. 4.2 also is important, but that is for more of knowledge sake. But 4.4 onwards, you have to understand and thoroughly learn. Okay. So let us see what is there inside a router. So router is basically you can say a small computing device. It's a small device, small computer, which is very specific. Okay, and it will work only up to layer 3. That is another key point which you should remember. Okay, so there are two key functions for a router. This we have seen already in many other places, even earlier also. The first thing is there is routing algorithms. Routing programs are executing in the router. So there are protocols like RIP, OSPF, BGP, EIGRP. Likewise, there are few ISIS. There are many such protocols which are very well known as routing algorithms or routing protocols. Okay. So these protocols, obviously, they work in layer 3. Layer 3, you have seen a couple of other protocols, that is IPv4, IPv6, etc. Even ICMP belongs to layer 3, etc. Okay. So layer 3 protocols, can any one of you name once? Is Meghna online? Vikas, Papanna Vikas, can you please name few protocols in layer 3? Few.
Sir?
Can you please name layer 3 protocols what we have come across so far?
Layer 3 protocols, sir.
Just now I said you can recollect and tell.
Yeah, ICMP. Yeah, TCP, UDP.
No. TCP, UDP comes in layer 4. That is transport layer protocol.
Yeah,
okay?
yes.
Please don't get confused. And layer 3, as you rightly said, IP is layer 3 protocol. ICMP is another layer 3 protocol. And all routing protocols belongs to layer 3. Okay, all routing protocols. There are plenty of routing protocols. Few of them are RIP, OSPF, BGP, EIGRP,
ISIS.
ISIS. All this belongs to layer 3. Okay. Never ever bring TCP and UDP into layer 3. Okay. It's commonly people does that, but that is in a layer 4 protocol. Okay. Anyway, let's continue now. Thanks, Vikas. So you have a processor. That processor is not a general purpose processor. Instead, it need to process only routing. Okay, so that is why it is called. It is called routing processor. Okay, then you have got a high-speed switching fabric. That is the next important task of router. The forwarding of packets. It's basically switching from one incoming port to another outgoing port. That is what. So there is no specific input port and there is no specific output port in a router. Every port can take data in and data out until unless you configure not to do so. Okay. So there are interfaces. There is a high-speed switching fabric and there is a routing processor. Okay. And routing management, it's a control plane software, and forwarding data, that's basically a hardware plane. Okay. And people who would have done some basic study on software-defined networks, you would have come across SDN, software-defined network. They would have come across this control plane and forwarding plane, etc. Okay. Those who are interested in networking projects and all, probably you can start working on SDN, software-defined network. You may please note it down, SDN. That is one of the emerging area in networking. Okay, a lot of researches and development is happening at present. That may take over the networking in a short while. The SDN. Okay. Anyway. So what are the input port functions? If you look at little more closer, there is a line termination. The connection is terminated by using a connector. It may be RJ45 connector, or it may be COM connector, or it may be WIC connector, whatever it is. Okay, there is a termination. And the signal is encapsulated in a link layer protocol. Okay, in a link layer protocol. So yesterday you have seen a couple of wide area network protocols like point-to-point protocol, HDLC, frame relay, X.25. These are wide area network layer 2 protocols. Okay, layer 2 protocol we are familiar with Ethernet because we are using that in our regular network. Okay, if you are using an RJ45 connector and say unshielded twisted pair, obviously it is tuned to use Ethernet protocol. Okay, but that is not the protocol in wide area network. Wide area network, we are using optical fiber, longer connections, etc. So there Ethernet does not come in picture. It may be other protocols like point-to-point protocol. In your HDLC modem, in your home, you are using broadband connection, right? There you are using point-to-point protocols. Okay, that is a layer 2 wide area network protocol essentially. So have you got an idea what is this link layer protocol? Okay, don't get confused. Okay, you have to segregate and learn which layer what protocol comes and what is their basic function. One sentence explanation you must remember. Okay, then it is taken inside a router where it will look up and forwarding will be taken place in the routing table, and queuing also will take place. Queuing in the sense, if it has to place into another interface, that interface has to be free, and once that interface is free, it may place into that interface's queue so that it can send subsequently. Okay, so here, the data link layer protocol they have used as Ethernet. It is not necessary to be Ethernet. That's what I am trying to say. If you are a router, if you have connected to another router by using UTP cable and all, it will be Ethernet. If it is, if you have connected by using a serial cable like a telephone line, that is what in industry happens, right? A router is placed far away with the other router. So definitely Ethernet cable is not a solution. You have to go for telephone line or serial connection. In that case, it will be using protocols what we have studied yesterday, what we have seen yesterday. Okay. There are three types of switching fabrics in a router. One is memory based, other one is bus one, and the third one is crossbar. Okay. From the diagram itself, picture itself, it is pretty clear probably. The memory based is there will be okay, let us read this explanation first. Transfer packet from input buffer to appropriate output buffer is that clear? There will be an incoming port. From there, it will be placing into output outgoing port. So it is not directly handled, rather it will be coming through a memory and going out through a memory. Since it is a temporary memory, and the technical term for that memory is buffer here. Okay. Hope please use all these technical terms when you're writing answers, okay, or when you're answering for interviews. Don't say there is a temporary memory at the incoming port. It will be stored there, and it will be going out to the outgoing memory, which is associated with the outgoing interface. You have to say it will be stored in the buffer of buffer related to incoming interface, and it will be stored into the outgoing buffer, outgoing interfaces buffer. You have to use technical words while explaining. Then switching rate at which packets can transfer from inputs to outputs. That is another important point. Then three types of switching fabrics are there. One is memory, other one is bus, third one is crossbar. Okay. If you are asked to explain what is switching in a router, you are supposed to explain these two 3 points along with this diagram. Okay. So the memory, it is purely handled by the buffer. It is controlled by the processor, whereas in a bus it is like a hub, what we have studied in the beginning of the course. Incoming data will be placed into the bus, and it will be available to everybody, and the outgoing interface will be choosing to where it has to go, and it will be taken and sent across. Okay. So this bus thing is more complicated in terms of like there may be collisions occur, or such issues may come up in the bus kind of switching fabric. Memory, it is quite slow because it has to be placed in the memory, and it has to be again placed into the outgoing memory, and it has to be taken out. So the more process oriented, it is more of software controlled. So that way, that also is slightly, there may be a delay occurring in it. Bus, there is no delay, but there may be, because of shared memory, it is getting the common bus may be a problem for everybody simultaneously. Only one fellow can send it, right? So that way, bus topology is going to be slow. And the third one is a little more complicated. There is crossbar. It's a cross connection. So suppose second one want to connect to second outgoing. So the connection here, the second that intersection will be activated. It will be connected. So there possibly multiple transmissions are possible, because it can make connection between any source to any destination at any point of time. So that is more efficient and more secure. The drawbacks of memory and bus are addressed in crossbar, but the only drawback there is it is more costly. Okay, please go through this. Already we have discussed. All good? Shall we move on? They have beautifully said the term bus contention, switching speed limited by bus bandwidth. Okay, switching speed limited by bus bandwidth. As an example, you can say Cisco 5600 series switch uses, or it has 32 Gbps of bus, just for an idea. So this kind of routers are very costly fellows. Okay, the crossbar cross interconnection networks, they are very costly. It is not that easily affordable. Okay, so there are few times like buffering required when datagrams arrive from fabric faster than the transmission rate. So tell me a situation where your outgoing interface has to buffering the data. This is the answer for it. Scheduling discipline chooses among queued datagrams for transmission. So who has to be transmitted when? That is, it is basically into priority setting. Okay, we are not getting into details of priority setting. Those who have done CCNA probably they might be knowing better on priority discipline. Okay, can I move on? Okay. So when queuing delay and loss due to output port buffer overflow takes place, the answer is common, buffering only. Buffering when arrival rate via switch exceeds output line speed. Okay, that is when the delay or loss will take place. Oh, sorry, went back. So there is a standard equation for this. How much buffer size has to be there? So it is round trip time into C divided by square root of n. If you have n packets, this is what the expectation. The link capacity is C, and if you are expecting n number of packets, then RTT into C divided by square root of n. That is what they are expecting as a buffer. Now, when input port queuing will take place, queuing are two types, right? One is output port queuing and the other one is input port queuing. So both will take place when excess number of packets are coming in than the processing capacity. That is a basic understanding of whatever queue, whatever delay, okay, the result. So fabric slower than input ports combined, queuing may occur at input queues. Okay, so here they have used input ports combined word. What does it mean? For all the ports together, there is a common bus, common buffer. That is what they meant here. Queuing delay and loss due to input buffer overflow. Head of the line blocking. Queued datagram at front of the queue prevents others in queue from moving forward. Did you understand that type? Head of the line blocking. Can you please read it carefully? Okay. The buffer basically follow the queuing theory. That is first come, first out. FC FIFO. First come, first out. Okay, you have studied in data structure earlier. The first in, first out theory. Okay, so what happens here is one example. Say all these three ports, there are three incoming ports and three outgoing ports. Now, in this example, what happened is that red packets from port number 1 and port number 3, port number 1 is already there in the buffer, and port number 2 is also there in the buffer, and port number 3 also is there in the buffer. Now what happens is, let us assume that port number 1 and 3 are there in the queue on the top. Now outgoing interface is single in both this case. It has to go via that red interface, red box interface. Now they both has to be placed into that interface. Then only the blue will be taken, because that is at the behind, that is in the third place in the queue. Actually speaking, the blue would have gone front, because one red if they place, then one blue if they place in first 2 time slots, it would have finished. Now the blue will be going only in the third time slot, provided the red would have cleared the buffer from the front. Okay, it's basic, one basic interpretation of this. All right, guys.
So I have a doubt.
Yeah.
You said that all the input ports combined have a single queue. So why isn't that shown in the diagram?
They have represented like this.
So you're saying that only once the red packet red datagram gets cleared can the blue go forward?
Correct, correct. The first come first serve theory will be applied here. You can override this by using priority setting. That is possible in the router, but we are not getting that into that deep now. So we are discussing the primary concern, that is three packets are coming. All the 3 will be lined up in the buffer. Here pictorial representation is slightly wrong. They have represented buffers for everything. Actually speaking, they will be combined buffers.
Okay, so the blue packet which will go second is the one behind the red packet, or the one in the second link,
So
the second buffer?
Now let us assume that the red one is coming. Okay, this is first one. Now let me assume that one more red is coming. This also has to go via red packet, red interface, that is through this interface. Okay. Now let me assume that the blue one is coming. Okay, the blue one is coming, which has to go via 2. Now the problem is this has to go first, then this has to go. Now once these 2 are going, then only this will get attention of switching fabric or the forwarding theory. So now this will take place. Actually speaking, this would have gone, then immediately this also would have gone. Now the blue fellow has to wait till these 2 fellows clears the path.
Okay, so got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very simple logic. If you try to think deeper, then you will get into more confusion. Actually, it's not required to think that deep. Actually, you can just leave it. Just understand the basics. That's good enough. This problem is actually addressed. This problem is actually addressed by means of priority settings and other things. Okay. It is no more a problem in networking. Okay. Now let us move on to next topic, that is internet protocol. So now the network layer protocols, basically you have routing protocols like RIP, OSPF, BGP. Their basic function is to choose to find out the best path to a destination at any point of time. Remember, what is the function of routing protocols? To find out or to tell the best path to a destination at any point of time. Okay. Once he find the best path, that will be entered into routing table. Okay. There is a table maintained in the router which is known as routing table, which will have entries like what is the destination address, destination network address, and what is the outgoing interface in order to reach that destination network, and what is the cost to reach that. Okay, so that is what content basically in forwarding table. Then in computer, you have got a protocol called IP protocol. It may be IPv4, and for IPv6, IPv6 is another protocol. Then you have another independent fellow, that is ICMP protocol. Okay, ICMP protocol already you have come across when you have studied ping command. Ping uses ICMP protocol for testing and error reporting. It uses ICMP protocol. And ICMP is used by both computer as well as router in between. For congestion control, it takes the help of ICMP protocol. Okay, and if queue is busy, queue is full and dropped a packet, then it sends an error message by using ICMP. Not always, but it is entitled to send an ICMP error message. If the router is busy in doing routing, then it will not bother to send ICMP error message, because he is more interested to do the primary work. Primary work is routing with respect to a router. All of you, please note down this to your notebook. I know that you have this in your slide, but I want you to draw this physically. I recommend, or it is compulsory that all of you to learn all the header formats. Okay, UDP, TCP, IP, then HTTP, etc. Few important protocols you may please by heart it. IP, TCP, UDP compulsorily you have to learn. I'll give you 1 minute time to draw this. You may please draw. Can we continue? Have you all noted down this?
Yes.
Okay. So let us try to understand one by one. This is IP version 4 header format. Okay. So you may think it is only meant for IP version 4. Why this version number should be there? Yes, that is a question. But when they developed, they were expecting that we'll develop next version with betterment, but that altogether moved to IP version 6. Actually, IP version 5 in between it had come, but that was not successful research. So that is why IP version 6 has come. So IP version 6 came in, and altogether the header format is changed. So anyway, this version is a part of IP header. The next is you have header length, that is also in bytes. Then you have type of service, that is what type of data it is. Whether it is a voice data or whether it is a normal data or whether it is a video data, this kind of information they can give it here in order to set the priority. A router, it can set the priority, that's the purpose. Then the remaining points we'll discuss in between. Then there is time to leave. This point is quite important for network engineers. Maximum number of remaining hops which will be decremented at each router. Okay, time to leave. So we have already seen this time to leave fellow is effectively used in order to find out the in-between devices. We have seen how they have manipulated time to leave header field in order to find the in-between fellows in a network. Okay, trace route command is effectively using this time to leave actually. Okay, I hope you remember our earlier discussion. Then what is the upper layer protocol? Whether you are using TCP or UDP in the higher layer. So that value is stored here. Then you have total datagram length. Total datagram length. That is not the header length. In TCP, you had the header length field, right? Here it is total datagram length. Datagram in the sense total packet length it is. All right. Total packet length it is. Then these three fields are used together. 16-bit identifier, flags, and you are using fragment offset. We will be studying this in detail later. I'll tell you what is the purpose. Say your packet may be 1500 or 1600 bytes length. Usually it will be 1518 byte length. So there may be some, so it is transmitting from one place to another place, right? Your packet. Say suppose you are chatting with your friend who is sitting in US. So you are sending a message from here to a far place. So in between this, it may be going through some network where it cannot handle 1518 bytes. So it may need to break down the entire data. So if they are breaking down the data, that is 1518 byte, one packet, if it is breaking into some, say some 10 pieces of, or maybe some 30 pieces of 50 bytes each. Say if you are using ATM, asynchronous transfer mode, in one network in between, it can handle only 50 bytes of data. ATM can handle only 50 bytes of data approximately. So what happens is your 1518 byte data will be divided into 31 small pieces. 31 pieces. Now each piece will be given a 16-bit identifier, because on the other side it has to reassemble it, right? So it will be using that 16-bit identifier to identify that 31 pieces, and the flags will say it is fragmented data. Okay, the 50 byte is a piece, so the flags will be set. There are few flags here, whether any more data is coming, or is it the last one, or is it fragmented, or is it not fragmented? All this information, there are 7 flags in that, so we'll come across that later. Now I'm just giving a hint what it is. Then it will say fragment offset. So which place this particular piece belongs to? 31 pieces are there, right? Which piece it is? So that is what this fragment offset means. Then this 32-bit source IP address and 32-bit destination IP address, all of you know what it is, right? There is no confusion in that. Then there are options like timestamp, record route taken, specify list of routers to visit. So these options, I have not come across a practical situation where it is used, but the purpose of these options are timestamp, record route taken, etc. Okay. Then your actual data, what is come from the top layer, it may be a TCP data or it may be UDP data, that will be added here. This is the payload here. Okay, this is the this is the data here. Okay, which is actually segment which has come from top layer.
Sir, what if the time to live isn't sufficient to make the packet move to its destination, sir?
If suppose the time to leave value is 1. Okay, it may start with 256 or 16, or depends on the protocol what you are using, it may vary. Okay, if the time to leave value is just 1, and if the destination IP address is not directly connected to a router, to that router, that means it is not available, it cannot reach. Okay, so what the router will do is, router will discard the data. Router will discard the data and will send back an ICMP error message to the source IP address. See, the 32-bit source IP address is here of the original packet, right? So it will make an ICMP information, ICMP error message, which is addressed to 32-bit source IP address from the packet, and will send across from the router. So the source IP address of the ICMP error message will be router's IP address. Have you understood that point?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
So that is a trick what it is using in traceroute actually. In traceroute, what it will do is, time to leave value will be just 1. Source IP address will be your computer IP address. Destination IP address will be, say, google.com's IP address. Time to leave value is 1. So it will reach your default gateway. Default gateway, see that, okay, google.com is not directly connected to me. So your default gateway will send back an error message. What is the error message? Google.com is not reachable to me. The destination IP address will be your computer IP address, because error message has to come to your computer, and source IP address will be default gateway's IP address. As and when the packet is coming, your traceroute command is waiting for it actually. Okay, and the moment he will display that the first hop is your default gateway's IP address, which has got from the source IP address of the ICMP error message. Now it will make time to leave value as 2. So it will go to the default gateway. Time to leave value will be reduced by 1. It will become 1, and it will be sent across to the next fellow. Okay, that is your BSNL service provider's router. And BSNL service provider, what he will do? It is destination is not directly connected to him, but time to leave value is just 1. So he will send an ICMP error message. The error message of destination IP addresses your computer IP address, and source IP addresses his IP address, that router IP address. Now, as and when that packet reaches to you, your traceroute program will display that as a second hop. Then time to leave value will be 3, and it will be sending another one. So it keeps on going like that.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So what is the overhead value? Here is one example. TCP has approximately 20 bytes. UDP doesn't have 20 bytes, but it is very small. Some how much is the header length of UDP? It is hardly some 7 or 8, right? I don't remember exactly. What are the header fields of UDP? Can any one of you tell me? Source port, destination port, options.
Checksum.
One more, right? Checksum. Okay. So only 4 information is there. Each has approximately 2 bytes. So 8 byte is 8 or 10 is the header length of UDP. So if you are using TCP, the total overhead to the data is 20 plus 20, 40 bytes. And then you have application layer overhead. Okay, so IP fragmentation and reassembly, this we will discuss in tomorrow's class. I already gave you the idea what is IP fragmentation and reassembly. You are sending from a source to destination. In between, there may be a network who cannot handle the bigger packet. So it will be divided into small pieces and it will be sent across. Now you can see the router in between, he divides the data and sends across. Once it reaches the other router, it will be just reassembling and sending across. Okay, this reassembly may take place the end of that smaller capacity network. Okay, is that point clear? It may cross, it may be only one link in between, or it may be multiple links in between that smaller capacity network. So this example we'll discuss tomorrow. Hope you understood the theoretical part of it. Okay, this mathematics we'll study tomorrow. Or shall we finish off this also? It's only small part. Okay, 3-4 minutes more left out, I guess. So let us finish it off so that we can start from the new topic tomorrow. All of you listen here carefully. So here the total length of the packet is the data overhead value is 4000. Okay, and it has got an ID value X. Fragment flag is set as 0 because it is not fragmented. Offset is set as 0. Now, say let us assume that it has divided into 3 pieces of 1500 is the maximum MTU, maximum transmission unit it can send. Okay, so this 4000 inclusive of 40 bytes of header information. So your actual data is still slightly less. Okay, 4000 minus 40, so 3960 is your actual data. Okay, so now let us take the first data as 1500. So 1500 is there in the first one. This inclusive of TCP header and IP header again. Okay, 1500 will be there, and ID value is the same. Fragment flag will be set as 1, and offset value will be set as 0. Offset value will be set as 0. Why offset value is set as 0? Because it is the first information, first piece. Okay. Now, when the second piece is going, the length is again 1500. ID value will be 1. Fragment flag is 1, and offset value is 185. Can you tell me how this 185 is calculated? Can you just figure out? I'll give you a hint. It is mentioned in bytes. That is after so many bytes you will have to assemble it. Oh, it's already mentioned there. 1480 divided by 80, right?
Sir, but the given data is already in bytes, right?
It is already in bytes, but this offset calculation is done like this. 1480 divided by 8. So it will be multiplied and added. The protocol is designed in that way. Okay, that is to reduce the value of offset. Please memorize that. Okay, it is divided by 8. It is not converting to byte actually. It's already in byte, so it will be divided by 8. The explanation for that is to reduce the offset value because that has got only some 1 byte information or something. It is not a very big value. So Why this is 1480? Can anyone of you tell me? So this business is done in network layer, right? Network layer IP is the protocol in network layer. So IP will be excluded. IP length will be excluded. The payload there is 1480 because the IP header. See, this 4000 bytes are there, right? Out of 4000 byte, only 20 byte it can be considered as IP header value. So 3980 is the actual data size there. Okay, 3980 is the actual size of the data as far as network layer considers. So that is why 1480 is calculated there. Okay, and 20 byte is meant for IP header. So that is why the data length is 1480 divided by 8 is calculated. Now the third piece, the offset value is 370 because 1085 plus it has to be added. Sorry, 185. Hope it is clear, this calculation. All of you may please note down this. You may get some questions based on this calculation for exam. Okay. So let us end with this today. Let me download your attendance also, then you can leave the class. If any doubts, you can ask me, please.
So in the beginning you said that we remove 40, so the actual data will be only 3960. So then, and later you said that we remove 20 bytes because of the IP header. So I'm confused between both of them.
Yeah, I expected that. That is why I repeatedly said. Okay, your actual data, I would have, that is my mistake actually. What I meant is if you consider your data, your actual data is minus 40. Your actual data, what is coming from application layer is what do you say? The TCP header you have to remove and IP header you have to remove. Okay. So that is what I said, you have to reduce 40 for your actual data. Okay. Then later I said you can reduce only 20. The reason is we are talking with respect to network layer only. Listen, we are talking with respect to network layer only. For network layer, what is the data? Whatever is come from transport layer. So later I said you reduce only 20 because when you are talking with respect to network layer can understand only network layer header. So network layer header out of this 40 is only 20. So that is why we have reduced only 20 from the actual data.
Okay, sir, I got it.
Yeah.
Sir, could you please publish our T1 and Q1 marks? We didn't get them yet.
We will, I'll discuss with Vishwa sir and will publish it very soon. We all were quite busy with few NAC, the UGC inspection related activities. That is why we couldn't sit together and process it. We'll do it at the earliest. Maybe in a couple of days time, we will finish it off and send it across. Okay? And please excuse for the delay. I know that you are expecting it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, looks like there is a small error in this calculation. I'll get back to you on that tomorrow. The last one is supposed to be 1060 actually. Okay, let us get back to you on that tomorrow. Thank you all. You can leave the class.
Thank you, sir.
Please read textbooks once